All right, hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. TechTrev here. I'm going to show you what to do when you have a fresh Proxmox install. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my server's web interface, which will be HTTPS and then the IP address or host name. And then don't forget to use port 8006 by default. You're going to get this potential security risk or certificate error. That's because Proxmox installs with the self-signed certificate. So we just want to accept it and continue on. Now we're at the login screen. This is where you'll put in the root password that you set during install. All right, once you're in, it's going to tell you that there's no valid subscription, so you'll just click on OK. Now, the first thing that you want to do is get your system updated, because you can see here that we're running on version 9.2.2, and there's been some updates since this version was released. So what we're going to do is we're going to click on the server. We're going to go under Updates and Repositories. Then you're going to see right here there's PVE Enterprise. We're going to click Disable. And right here under Ceph, we have Ceph Squid Enterprise, and we're going to click Disable there as well. Now we're going to click on Add. It's going to yell at us about a subscription again, so we'll click OK. From the repository, click on No Subscription and Add. Once again, click on Add. It's going to yell about the subscription. From the list, go to Ceph Squid No Subscription. Click Add. Now at this point, we don't have our repos loaded, so you can just hit Reload. Then go to your shell, type in apt update, and hit enter. It's going to go through, update everything. As you can see, we have 49 packages to install. So now we can run apt, and this is important, dist-upgrade. So on Debian systems, you're generally safe to just do apt upgrade, but on Proxmox, it's in the documentation that you want to do apt dist-upgrade and press enter. So here are all the packages that are due for an update on the system. So we'll hit Y and enter, and these are going to update. Now, of course, the amount of packages depends on how old your system is and the last time you updated. And also how long it takes to download is going to depend on your internet connection. Now, how fast they install will also vary based on a few things. Did you install Proxmox on a spinning hard drive, or did you install it on an SSD? Is it on SATA or SAS? Is it fast SAS, which is 12 gigabits per second, or is it on slower SAS at 6 gigs per second? All those things will kind of factor into how fast your system will run. All right, just like that, our system is now updated. So I'm going to close out of the shell. I'm going to go back over to our main environment here, and I'm going to reload. You'll see we're now on 9.2.3. Now you'll notice that our storage is not quite set up yet. And this is going to vary based on, number one, how you installed your system, and number two, the types of storage that you have in your system. So now that our system is up to date, let's add storage to it. Now to do this, we need to go to two places. Number one, we need to provision the disks on the actual PVE host itself, and then we need to make that disk available to PVE. So the way we're going to do this is we're going to click on the node, and then we're going to go to disks, and we're going to click on LVM thin. We're doing LVM thin because that is going to be our thin pool, and what I mean by thin is thin provisioning. So for example, let's say I create a virtual machine that has a 100 gig disk. If I just do standard LVM, and now I'm only using LVM in this example. If we were using network storage, it'd be completely different. But in this case, because we're using local disks, which is the simplest way to get started, I'm going to use LVM, and that allows for snapshotting. But anyways, I'm going to use LVM thin because if I create a virtual machine that's 100 gigabytes in size, if I was just using LVM, I would actually be creating a file that was 100 gigs in size. Now, the virtual machine isn't going to immediately use 100 gigs. It's going to end up using maybe, let's say I install a light operating system and it only ends up using 5 gigs. I install some applications and now I'm using 6 gigs. Well, if I use just LVM, I'm actually going to be using 100 gigs of physical storage on the server, regardless that the virtual machine's only using 6 gigs. By using thin provisioning with LVM thin, the virtual machine sees that it has 100 gigs available. But on the Proxmox side, Proxmox is only going to give it how much disk space it needs. So if this virtual machine, I install a bunch of stuff on it and it's only using 6 gigs, Proxmox is going to give it about 6 to 7, maybe 8 gigs total. Now, if that virtual machine starts growing, like let's say I download some more applications to it or add a large database to it, Proxmox will actually end up giving more disk space to that virtual machine as it's required. And this is a process that's called over-provisioning. And basically what I'm doing is I'm making more resources available than what I actually have. And we'll talk about over-provisioning in a later video, but for the most part, over-provisioning is totally normal and fine. You run into issues with over-provisioning when you run out of resources and you're not doing proper resource management. Anyways, let's go ahead and create a thin pool. So I'm going to create a thin pool, and I'm going to look at my 2 sizes here. Now, this server has 2 512 gig disks and 2 2 terabyte disks, and they are in RAID 1. So I can tell you that right here, dev/SDB, which is 1.02 terabytes, that's my SSDs. So I'm going to call this LVM, or I'm going to call this SSD thin. And I'm going to make sure that add storage is checked, so that way when this thin pool is created, it's going to actually add to the server. So I'll hit create. It's going to run. It's going to create that SSD thin pool. This usually just takes a minute or two. It depends on how much storage you have. If we click on details, we can see what's going on. And this here is also lets you know what we have. So we can over provision at most 15.88 terabytes of data. Just an FYI. And again, this will let you see what's going on. This is the output. Depending on the size of the pool, this can take a few minutes. All right, and then once that's done, it can take a few minutes, like I told you. You should see your newly provisioned storage in the left-hand column here. In this case, you'll see HDD thin, and it should be the expected size, and the SSD thin that I created, and it's also the expected size. So from this point, we're ready to start creating virtual machines, and I'll show you how to do that next.